navigation is one of those things that you really have to get correct. What do I mean by navigation? Well, every single enemy, computer controlled enemy in any game usually uses some kind of nav mesh. And if the nav mesh isn't calculated correctly, then what ends up happening is that the AI just does some stupid shit, and it just breaks immersion. You think that the enemies are so dumb that they have to be overpowered to present a challenge, and I think a lot of games do this. But if you fix navigation, then the enemies they can get to you, and they're not dumb about it either. They can do that even in hard conditions. And I think I've prototyped a bunch of different navigation methods. One was using the default Godot nav mesh, but it was just not good enough. And I've constrained the game to a 2D plane. So I think I can just use A star, which is a very fast to do for a lot of different characters. And it's relatively performant. It's a bit laggy now because of the visualizations, but if I disable this, then it's actually pretty fast. But that's pretty much it. I just think that A star is the way to do it. And you can quickly generate a mesh, define what parts are obstructions and what parts are not. Another thing is that I think having different types of AI is good. So different types of, let me show you. I defined this in the compendium as I have this as the rule book for the game, but different types of attacker basically. And I think this, if you have this kind of modularity where the AI itself is separated or split into these subcategories of actions, you can mix and match. You can have a bunch of defensive enemies and a bunch of sneaky ones, and maybe a few aggressive ones, and you can have infinite variability, since you also have classes which have their own modifiers, and then you have the races. For example, this is a goblin, and it's a grunt, and it has the basic AI, but you can really mix and match to create a lot of uniqueness. And it doesn't take much once the system is in place. I just need to add more active abilities, more items, more classes, and eventually there is so much variability that the player can't learn everything from memory, and they just have to be good at responding to a situation. And I think that's the kind of game I'm going for. The game where you're forced to adapt your thinking. Well, most roguelikes have this. You can't. I think the most common trope is that each permadeath run, you're given a set of circumstances, and you just have to make with those. You have to make it work. And I'm doing the same, but I just want a lot of stats. I come from the League of Legends kind of density of stats. There's a lot of things there, and that game, it never really got boring. It just was tedious, and tedious in the way because people were very toxic. That kind of tedious. You don't want to deal with people in League of Legends, but I haven't seen a single player game that does stats to such a degree. Well, there is Path of Exile, but Path of Exile isn't a roguelike. It's just a RPG. I'm not doing an RPG. I'm doing RPG like element in a roguelike. Like that's because I'm gonna go for the permadeath route. I'm doing the Slay the Spire map. It's not gonna, like, it might take half an hour for you to beat the game if you're lucky. But with these kinds of games, the playtime comes from getting to a point where you can beat the game, and otherwise the variability will keep you busy. And not just the variability, but unlocks. You will unlock maybe new enemy types along the way, new abilities you can come across while playing the game. This kind of small incremental newness, I guess, is what makes this kind of game fun. And once you beat the game, I've noticed that when I beat a roguelike, I never want to really play it again. And for example, with Path of Exile 2, I finished it once, and I didn't want to beat the game with the different characters. Mugenics does this a bit better because it's a really, really long game, and I think it will take you 100 hours to beat the last boss. So I'm gonna use this method. I think it works pretty well because I don't think there's a solution to the fact that if once you beat a game, you're not really pressured to beat it again. Binding of Isaac also has this. There's like a lot of bosses. You can beat the game once, and there's more. Now you have to beat it. I think that's the way. You gate progression by having to beat the boss. Like, then you will just die or whatever. But if you start a new run, then you can go further, and then you beat the second boss and you die or whatever, and then you need to start a third run and you go further and further. And this is like the secret sauce to milking as much replayability from the player as possible, because with roguelikes, the players will find a broken build or something that will break everything you've built. And you shouldn't try to nerf everything, because otherwise it becomes boring. But you just need to account for the fact that sometimes, it should be rare, but sometimes the player will get a set of circumstances where they will try to cheese the system. I think that's like my rant for today about progression and stuff. But today there wasn't much in terms of like changes. It's just that I was refining the AI system, and it's pretty robust now. It doesn't crash. It used to crash very often. Like I would get a situation where the enemies get stuck behind something, or they kill like 2 versus 1, and the single enemy would somehow kill the 2 enemies even though they have the same stats. And there would be these weird edge cases where it doesn't make sense for an AI to beat that. Like, a player might beat 1 versus 2, but not a machine. It doesn't make much sense. And I finally like ironed out most of the issues for now, but I know that once I introduce more states to the game, it's gonna break again. So I have to just come back here and see how things go. But I'm really happy with the progress. It feels very robust. I haven't played the game, surprisingly, but I have been watching this AI versus AI thing, and it gives you a lot of information you don't normally get. It's like watching someone play, but that someone is really stupid. But that's how some players are, right? They're really stupid. So having this kind of like this one enemy type, it's called ambusher. So what it does is it attacks, and then it tries to escape and heal, basically. So that's just one unique enemy type, or enemy AI I've developed so far. I will have more. But you know, I'm really happy about the progress here. And next time we'll probably have something more different than this.